Hi everyone, and welcome to Uncovered Vintage Fashion Magazine Review. I'm Stephanie, and I've been collecting and selling vintage fashion magazines for over 20 years.
And I'm Morley. I'm a former copywriter and am now an award-winning playwright and screenwriter.
Together, we will examine some of your favorite vintage fashion magazines from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
On Uncovered, we'll discuss some of the magazine's models, layouts, and did I mention the models?
And we'll also review some of the ads and articles that make these magazines such a great piece of pop culture history. So, fasten your seatbelts and let's get uncovered. Hello everyone, and welcome to Uncovered Vintage Fashion Magazine Review Episode 5. Steph Morley here, and today the magazine that we'll be reviewing is Vogue, March 1977.
So, Steph, what do you remember, if anything, about March of 1977 or 1977 in general?
Well, 1977 was a big year for me personally because I moved. I moved from Montreal, Quebec to Toronto.
That is pretty exciting.
Yes. And what about you, Morley?
Well, for myself, not quite as exciting as yours, but around that time, we moved from my childhood home into my other childhood home. But I remember also that meant I had to go to my third school in 3 years. So that was certainly very, very memorable. Let's talk about some of the music that was going on around that time. Ever hear of a song called Go Your Own Way?
Fleetwood Mac, definitely.
Of course you have. Also, another one was The Things We Do for Love.
Another great song.
10cc. And, of course, was co-written by the amazing Graham Gouldman, who's also known for writing such 60s hits as No Milk Today, Bus Stop. He also did For Your Love by the Yardbirds. He is a prolific songwriter. One of my all-time favorites.
Love him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also has a new album out, by the way, called Modesty Forbids, which Steph and I listen to a lot. So Modesty Forbids by Graham Gouldman. Check it out. Also, some of the films at that time were The Spy Who Loved Me.
And a great song with that movie as well.
By Carly Simon. And a little bit of trivia. Carly Simon everyone's heard of, but maybe not everyone knows that her father was the Simon from Simon & Schuster Publishing. Very interesting. Mm-hmm. A couple other movies that came out that other people would know would be Slapshot, the hockey movie with Paul Newman, which is a cult classic, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and also Annie Hall.
Great movie.
Yeah, considered by many to be Woody Allen's best movie. Some of the news at that time, for those who may be interested, was a judge ruled that the Beatles' 1962 Hamburg album could be released. So for those of you who know a little bit about the Beatles, they got really their start, if you will, in Hamburg. In particular, their club that they played at a lot was called the Kaiser Keller. So they had a bunch of recordings there that were bootlegged, and it was made available to the public, thank goodness. Some of the other headlines were the Blue Jays played their first game in 1977.
Oh, wow, how exciting. Really?
Yeah, I remember watching that game when I was in school, and they won 9-5. Doug Alt hit 2 home runs. And Alex Haley, a celebrated author, he was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for Roots.
Really?
Yep. So never read the book, although I intend to. I just finished reading the Book of Negroes, which is phenomenal. So I would like to read Roots. But yeah, that's amazing. So those are some of the headlines in 1977. So why don't we start or continue with Vogue of March 1977? What have you got for us?
So back to the magazine, we have Patti Hansen on the cover. The photo is by Arthur Elgort, hair by Christiaan, and makeup by Bandy. So Patti's wearing a pink linen dress by Basile and scarf in her hair. Patti Hansen, by the way, is from Staten Island, New York. She's the youngest of 7 children. She was discovered at 14 years old working at her father's hot dog stand.
Really?
If you can believe that.
Wow.
Yes. So she started at 17 magazine. Then she moved on to Cosmo, Harper's Bazaar, Glamour, Vogue, various other magazines. She actually appeared on the cover of Vogue, I believe, 12 times.
Right.
And I think I have probably all of those issues or have at some time.
Amazing.
Isn't she amazing?
Yeah.
As well as she also appeared on numerous ads. Tons and tons of ads, including one for Calvin Klein jeans that was displayed on a billboard in Times Square.
Wow.
So, yes, and she predated Brooke Shields.
Right.
On Calvin Klein. So, Patti's spoken openly about her brave battle with bladder cancer in order to help remove the stigma of bladder cancer in women.
Very, very brave and courageous.
Yes. And she met Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones. Perhaps you've heard of him.
Rings a bell.
She met him at Studio 54 in 1979, and he has said that it was love at first sight and basically that she changed his life for the better.
Wow.
They've been married for 37 years. They have 2 daughters, and their daughters have also followed Patti's footsteps as a model. She's still modeling, and she's actually published a book quite recently. But the one thing that you consistently hear from people that know her is that she's both beautiful and cool.
Wow, okay. Well, you're married to Keith Richards.
You've got to be, yeah.
Your coolness factor goes up by a lot, and it probably does your secondhand smoke.
Oh, my goodness. Personally, I think that she's a great mixture of high fashion, approachability, and rock and roll. She's got that rock and roll edge as well, Patti Hansen.
Right, and probably has a permanent ashtray somewhere on her.
Oh, no, come on.
All right, let's continue on.
So this particular cover, it's a close-up shot of her face. Her sort of strawberry blonde hair is cascading over a light pink linen dress.
Cascading, wow, look at you. When did you become the novelist here?
She's got a silk scarf tied as a hairband. Bandy's makeup is as usual done to perfection. She's wearing a gold earring. And
I wonder if she borrowed that from Keith.
Possible.
Maybe.
And I noticed that he's actually covered up her freckles, and she does have freckles, which is nice to see at times because as a person who has freckles, I can totally relate to that.
You have freckles?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
You may have noticed.
Wow.
And I know that some makeup artists try to cover them up, some leave them. Here, Bandy has covered them up, but she looks beautiful. And the colors are light colors, pastels, as you would expect in a spring issue. And this is a spring issue, so we have lots and lots to discuss. So let's
talk about some of the articles, perhaps, that are on the cover that they're going to talk about within the magazine.
So some of the highlights, and I will read them out, are what to wear with what, accessory hotline, 250 new ideas to give yourself a lift, the 2 best makeups for spring, how to deal with your hair's personality.
Hair has a personality.
I hate when my hair gets grumpy.
Well, I think my personality is it got upset with me and decided to leave.
Oh, no. Exercise, think nude. I never exercise in the nude.
I would hope not.
The anti-pregnancy vaccine and other birth control news. What gourmets cook for their friends. Plus, good news about sex, health, travel, and fun.
Well, they clearly have not thought about 2020 yet, that's for sure.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Let's not even go there.
All right.
So I'll tell you what, we've got tons to discuss, so let's get right into this fantastic issue.
Let's do that. All right, so we're on page 37, and I was caught by this ad by Concord. It's called Concord Fashion Digitals. And what I found very interesting about this, it's an ad for a digital watch. Now this is 1977, the year, I believe, of Star Wars. And here we have a digital watch. It's a very small digital watch. In fact, all there's room for is simply the time. But I was just caught by it because it just seems like it's just very unusual. I mean...
Well, this is the newest technology at the time.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it's sort of a precursor to the smartwatches, except not as smart.
No, definitely not as smart, but it's getting there. But like I said, just the fact it's a digital watch, it just really caught my eye. And again, this is when we're really starting to get into the new technology and computers. We're slowly starting to come out for corporations, not for personal use, of course, but certainly for corporations. And anyway, it just caught my eye. It was for Concord Fashion Digitals. And apparently it's now owned by Movado. So I think the line is still around. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yes. So now I'm just going to turn the page to page 179. And the title is What Makes Things Look Different. And what it is, it's a write-up, it's a prelude to the layouts and outline of what is in style for spring. And I'm just going to read you some of the items in this write-up. Softer, lighter, more romantic clothing, shirt dressing, accessories, and here's a quote. Collect flowers, fresh flowers, silk flowers, and use them like they're going out of style.
Okay.
So the article suggests including flowers worn as a bracelet, in the waist of your skirt, in your hair, clipped to your sleeve, flowers and floral prints very much in style.
Now, who wrote this article? Was it FTD by any chance?
Could be.
Okay.
So they go on to say about scarves.
Scarves, okay.
Yes, scarves are very much in style. It says, begin to think of scarves as clothes.
I thought a scarf was a type of clothing, was it not?
It is, but what they're suggesting is that scarves are worn as clothing. So instead of tying them around your neck, tying them as a sarong, wearing it as a top.
Oh,
wearing it
I
as
see.
a one, you know,
A
the
onesie?
things, a onesie, the things that I already do, basically.
Okay.
when I'm at the pool. So, you know, I have this sarong and I can tie it like 50 different ways.
But it's not a scarf, though. It's a sarong.
Okay, but it's the same concept where you're tying a scarf.
Okay.
And you can make it into a skirt, a top.
How long are these scarves they're talking about? 10 feet?
Some of them are large.
Okay,
yes.
Well, there you go. Another thing I don't know anything about.
Try and explain a scarf to a man, ladies.
Okay.
But anyhow, what I was going to say about this particular article is that it's still very relevant. We're still tying our scarves, and if you YouTube it, you can see all like 20 different ways to tie your scarf. You can make a top, a sarong,
wow,
a halter top.
I guess I've been sarong about scarves all this time.
Yes.
Get it? Sarong about... Okay, go on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know you probably want to tie it around my mouth now.
Okay, Morley, as a gag.
Yeah, exactly.
They forgot that one.
That? Okay.
They forgot that. And the last tip is to use real color as a neutral. And I'll quote.
Use real color? Okay.
Use red for all it's worth.
Okay.
So, moving on to page 180 to 189, The Scarf is It. You'll like this title, Morley.
Okay.
The Scarf is It. Tie it. You'll like it.
I like that.
What do you think?
Janet, do you remember that original ad? Try it. You'll like it.
What was that for?
I don't remember.
No, I don't.
Okay. But you remember the ad, though?
I'm way too young to remember that.
Of course
sweetie.
you are. So am I.
Okay. So this is a layout. Photos by Richard Avedon. Maybe some of you have heard of him.
Well, we talk about him every issue, it seems.
I know. The models are Rosie Vela, Yasmine Guenacia, and Janice Dickinson. Hair by Christiaan. Makeup by Ariella. So basically, 3 top models are demonstrating the various ways to wear scarves. And the opening page is Rosie Vela smiling, wearing a purple hammered satin peasant dress and waving a purple scarf.
A purple hammered? What does that mean? That they beat the crap out of it before she put it on? Purple hammered?
And waving a floral scarf by Yves St. Laurent.
Okay, maybe that's a surrender. Okay, like stop hitting me with the hammer.
Actually, she looks very beautiful.
She always looks beautiful.
So, Rosie Vela, you may have heard of her.
I do. You talk about her all the time.
She's originally from Galveston, Texas, but moved to New York in 1970s.
Great song, Galveston by Glenn Campbell. That's all I got to say. Galveston.
I don't think I know that one.
It's written by
but
Jimmy
Rosie
Webb.
Probably knows it.
She should. Written by Jimmy Webb.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Rosie became a top model in the 1970s, but you may now know that she's also acted in several films.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes. And, if that's not enough, she's also an incredible singer. She released an album called Zazu in 1986, which included her single Magic Smile.
I've heard that.
And Magic, isn't it great?
It is a great song. She has an amazing voice, by the way.
It was a top 30 hit in the UK.
I could see why.
Yes. So, great song.
Yeah.
She's also sung background for other musicians such as ELO.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a very, very talented artist as well.
I've seen a lot of her work. I mean, she's really, you talked before about Rick Gillette and how he's a Renaissance man. Well, look at Rosie. She's obviously been a top model, phenomenal singer, a great artist. Is there anything she can't do?
Honestly, very creative, wonderful. And from my personal experience, I can tell you that she's as kind as she is beautiful.
Well, that's
and
nice. This
layout is a showcase for her sunny and energetic personality.
I like that.
Yes. So, back to the layout. Again, the scarves in a variety of prints and colors. Designers include Yves St. Laurent, Karl Lagerfeld for Chloe, Echo, Givenchy, Halston, Ungaro, and Trigere. So a great mix of American and European designers. And of course, not to leave Janice Dickinson and Yasmine Guenacia out. They're beautiful brunettes and they look fierce.
That's cool.
So this is a gorgeous looking layout. I would recommend that anyone have a look at it if they have a chance. And by the way, you can find this magazine and others in my eBay and Etsy stores. The name of my stores is Great Mags. That's GR8 MAGZ. So feel free to browse, have a look. You can see a lot of these pictures in my stores as well.
Great. Thanks, Steph. Okay, so on page 83, what caught my attention was that there's this wonderful ad for Jovan Musk Oil perfume. And what caught my attention was the picture and the tagline. The picture is simply of a man's hand. Now, he looks like he's dressed in formal wear, a suit or maybe a tuxedo. It's his left hand, and you see that he's wearing a wedding band on his ring finger. And he has his hand over this woman's leg. And you can't see anything of the woman other than her leg. It looks like she's wearing a skirt. So the tagline says, Jovan Musk Oil Perfume. In fact, let me read it like it would be a TV commercial. Jovan Musk Oil Perfume, the only musk oil dedicated to the proposition. But listen to that again. The only musk oil dedicated to the proposition, which leads to a lot of questions. Is he proposing to her to get married?
What
Or
exactly is he proposing?
That's my question.
Yes.
He already has a wedding ring on his finger, so what is he proposing? I just thought it was very interesting, and the ad is mostly black, except again for the picture of the Jovan Musk Oil perfume in the middle and his hand on the woman's leg. I thought it was just brilliant because I love ads that just aren't so obvious or in your face, but this leads to a lot of questions. It reminds me of the Gimenez perfume ad we saw that we reviewed a couple issues ago, where Gimenez is the second best thing I did tonight, or, it's just a really great ad. It leaves something to the imagination, dedicated to the proposition. How brilliant.
I would even say for a woman looking at this, and this is again a woman's magazine, she's thinking that he's proposing marriage. A woman looking at this photo, and a man looking at it could have other ideas.
But again, this is why we question it, because he already has a wedding band on his finger.
Yes.
So maybe it's proposing, it could be a business deal, but that would really be unusual, I would say. But it's just it's
risque.
Very risque. But anyway, it's just a great ad, the proposition. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. But really creative. I just love that type of ad where it really makes you think.
So here we find ourselves at page 212, and the title of the article is It's Freer. And it's actually an article in black and white photos, photography by Arthur Elgort. Models are Lisa Cooper, Lisa Taylor, and Christiaan. Hair by Christiaan. Makeup by Sandra Linter. And what this is, it's basically a profile of Christiaan. Now, if anyone who has ever picked up a fashion magazine knows who Christiaan is. He's a fabulous hairstylist. And this is an article about him styling these models' hair with a photo of him. And by the way, I look at this photo of Christiaan styling Lisa Cooper's hair and I say, which one is the model? Because he is very, very handsome looking. But aside from that, the headline is, understanding the natural character of your hair is key. And I think that's probably, I am not a hairstylist, but I think that's probably advice that's very, very relevant today. It's a 4-page article and layout about hair. It features advice from Christiaan. Now, by the way, his actual name is Christiaan Houtenbos. He got his start in Holland working for his father's barbershop at 11 years old. And you always see very successful people starting their careers young. It's really their passion. And he moved to New York, became one of the most highly acclaimed hairdressers of all time. Now, Christiaan's worked with all of the top photographers, designers, models, and celebrities, such as Deborah Harry, Grace Jones, Gia Karanji, Kate Moss, Cindy Crawford, Lara Stone, and countless others. The list just goes on and on.
Impressive.
Yes. So I've read that his rule is don't be boring. In this particular article, he's photographed, as I said, working on model Lisa Taylor's hair, Lisa Cooper's hair, and the focus is on natural looking hair. That is, allowing the hair to go the way that it wants to, not forcing it to look a certain way.
Yeah, that makes sense, just like my hair decides to leave.
Oh my goodness. So Christiaan suggests cutting for your hair type, not the style. He says if you can't deal with your own hair day to day, then your cut or your salon is wrong. He mentioned the effect of weather and humidity, which I can definitely attest to, as you know.
Absolutely, yeah. Humidity, your hair decides to pretend it was plugged into a light socket.
Yes. He talks about how women should take responsibility for their own hair. And the quote is actually, I'll read it. Today, the real responsibility for a woman's hair is not her hairdresser's, it's hers. And I think it's an idea that lives among many hairdressers. And I think he's been speaking with my hairdresser because she's always trying to show me how to straighten my hair without an iron. And I'm never able to successfully. So
you're not taking responsibility
she's never
for your
going,
hair.
well, I do my best, but let's just say that she's never going to be without a job.
Okay.
Okay.
Leave it to the professionals.
Yes. But I just want to talk a little bit about how women always want the hair that they don't have. And we're always fighting with our hair. If you have straight, you want curly. If you've got curly, you want straight. And he's just saying, embrace what you've got and make the most of it, is what I'm reading in this article. And I think that's very good advice, whether it be 1977 or 2020.
Well, you were just giving that advice to our niece yesterday.
Well, that's true. That's true. And by the way, I have read, and I don't know if this is true, Christiaan, but I've read that Christiaan will give free haircuts if he sees you and he's inspired to.
Well, I'm out.
And provided that you allow him to do whatever he wants.
So where is he working these days? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I know he's working on his own.
Okay, so it's sort of like, you've heard of Where's Waldo? We're going to have a new one called Where's Christiaan? So if you can find him and he likes your hair or he feels he can be inspired, you're in.
Listen, Christiaan, I'm putting my name forward. I'm a volunteer. If you'd like to do my hair, I can get there anytime. Just let me know. And
well, wait till the COVID crisis is over.
You can reach me at uncoveredpodcast@yahoo.com. That's my email. Anytime. Did you know, by the way, that I was once asked to be in a hair show?
I think you told me that, but maybe the listeners don't know. Why don't you tell them?
I was, but I actually declined because this was about 20 years ago, and I had not yet ever colored my hair. And when you agree to be in these hair shows, they do your hair in any way that they want to.
Right.
And I was not at the time willing to color my hair.
Well, weren't you the little snob?
Haven't times changed?
Now it's like, please pick me.
Oh my gosh. So that's this article.
Great.
It's freer.
Okay.
Christiaan.
Very good. Christiaan, remember the name. On page 84, there's a page that says, What's News? So one of the people that they feature is Henry Winkler. And you remember Henry Winkler, of course, from Happy Days.
Hey.
So there's a little picture of him at the bottom with a little article that says, Fonzie meets Shakespeare and Henry Winkler. And what they're referring to was this television special in 1977 called Winkler Meets Shakespeare, I believe it's called. And Fonzie Meets Shakespeare. And basically what it is, the premise was that he explains to Shakespeare about modern inventions, while Shakespeare explains to Henry Winkler about staging plays at the Globe Theatre. So for those of you who are really not too familiar with the career of Henry Winkler, he studied at Yale. He's a classically trained actor. I remember seeing him in a movie called The Lords of Flatbush. Have you ever seen that one?
I haven't.
It's with Sylvester Stallone before he made Rocky. And it's about a bunch of hoodlums and gangs and all that. And I believe Henry Winkler played a character named Mouse, and he ends up breaking his leg in the movie. He didn't have a big part. But he, of course, was really known for Fonzie. In fact, the leather jacket, I believe, is in the Smithsonian. But here's a little bit of trivia. Do you know what other famous actor/singer auditioned for the role of Fonzie on Happy Days?
I do not.
It was Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees.
Really?
In fact, the role was down to the two of them. And what's interesting, too, is that Henry Winkler is only 5'6". 5 foot.
Only?
Well, for you, that's a giant. But you think that Fonzie, is so big and so tough, and he's only 5'6", but he's such a great actor that you couldn't tell, you didn't care, because he acts larger than life. And that's really the sign of a great actor, where they're so good at their role, you wouldn't believe. So he's only 5'6", but yet everyone's afraid of him. He plays an incredibly well-developed role in Fonzie, where he's a tough guy in leather, and you believe it that he would hurt you. But such a successful actor, director.
I could never see anyone else in that role at this point.
No one else. I mean, he really developed the role. In fact, when the role first came out, the first couple episodes, he was in this like windbreaker. So it wasn't until later on that he developed this whole tough guy image with the leather jacket, and he became known as the Fonz. So anyway, I thought that was really cool.
Amazing actor.
Yeah.
So here we come to page 190, and it's the shoe report, spring 77. It's 6 pages. The first photo is Irving Penn, and the remaining pages are Chris von Wangenheim. The model is unknown to me, and the male model is Rob Yo. Hair by Marc Pipino and makeup by Vincent Nasso. So the first page is an Irving Penn photo of shoes. The shoes are sandals in various colors, fabrics, and styles.
It actually reminds me a little bit of your wedding shoes that you wore. Because it had...
You're looking at the wrong photo.
Oh.
Okay. Hair by Marc Pipino and makeup by Vincent Nasso. So the first page is an Irving Penn photo. It's shoes shown again against a typical Irving Penn white backdrop. And the shoes that they're showing are sandals in various colors, fabrics, and styles. Wedge and stiletto heels against the white backdrop.
Have sandals ever been out of style, do you know?
No, they really haven't.
Oh.
And in fact, I really feel like you could wear any of these shoe styles today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
But sandals are always in style for spring, and this is a spring issue. So
right.
The next 4 pages are evening wear and also showcasing the shoes. So
it's got to be the shoes. That's a Spike Lee line from...
Oh my goodness.
Okay, let's go.
I don't know that line.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a commercial.
Okay. So the female model, and I'm unable to identify her because her hair is partially obscuring her face, but perhaps someone out there could. I would love if they would. So she's shown sort of draped over the male model's shoulder. He's wearing a black satin tux, and she's wearing, in the first page here, a romantic floral dress and holding pink satin stiletto sandals. It sort of looks like she's passed out, actually, and he's carrying her.
I know why, because she's wearing one of those hammered dresses.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
You mentioned the hammered purple. I think she's hammered. Looks like it anyway.
Yeah, it actually does. So there's clearly a story there. This is typical Chris von Wangenheim style. There's a story behind the photo that we'd all love to know.
Yes.
And it's the makings of a great layout is when, it draws you in, as this photo clearly does. All these photos do.
Well, it's sort of like a great ad where there's more questions than answers almost.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next page, the same model is wearing a peach satin top and lime green harem pants and a gold stiletto heel. And again, the model is bent over. It sort of looks like she's
hammered?
Passed out.
Okay.
Hammered. I don't know.
This is the hammered issue, folks. We're going to go with that.
Yeah.
Last issue was the poplin. This is the hammered issue.
Yeah. So, as an FYI for any of you lifelong New Yorkers, the photos here were taken at the new, and I'm putting that in quotes, the new Copacabana nightclub. So, the Copacabana originally opened on the Upper East Side in 1940.
Wow.
And this is 1977, and it had just reopened as a discotheque the year before in 1976. So, did you know that the Barry Manilow song Copacabana, released in 78, was actually named after this club?
Makes sense. I thought the original Copacabana, for some reason, was in Miami or something.
I think they had other branches, other locations of this Copacabana that opened up in other locations, but this was the original in New York, although it did move around at times in New York as well.
I see.
So, but also the club, it eventually closed this year, if you can believe it.
Wow.
The Copacabana closed in May of 2020 after 80 years.
Wow.
And that was due to COVID-19, due to the pandemic.
Wow, that's really sad.
It is, but they actually have plans to reopen in 2021.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, so you can still fall in love with the Copa.
Maybe.
But don't fall in love.
No, don't fall in love
Barry
with the COVID.
Manilow says don't fall in love.
No, I guess not with the COVID.
No.
Okay.
So that's this layout. Fabulous. The models look beautiful. The shoes are, as I said, styles that you could still wear today.
I love the hair, though. I love how the hair is it's like a feathered look. It's feathered over her face. You can still make out her face, but it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm not a hairstylist, but I love the layering. I love the coloring. I love the feathered look.
She looks gorgeous. That's actually Marc Pipino's work.
Wow.
And I'm not sure if she's Shelley Smith. She looks a little bit like Shelley Smith, but I'm really not sure. It's hard to say, but perhaps someone out there can
She looks like maybe a mix between Shelley Smith and the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson with the red hair.
Yeah, it is sort of a strawberry blonde color.
But I just love how the hair is spread out over the face. You can still see her eyes, which are closed, but just so beautifully and elegantly done. I really love it.
It's the mark of great hair, makeup, and photography, for
sure. Very
sure.
impressive. Yes, absolutely.
Loving this layout.
Yeah, it's just great.
Must see.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
So now the last thing I want to talk about was on page 132. There's this really cool ad for Pantene. And the headline reads, "Finally, period, a more effective way to damage your hair." So what the ad is talking about, how when your hair is at its wettest...
So this is Pantene.
Pantene.
Yes.
So when your hair is at its wettest and you use a blow dryer, that's when your hair is at its most vulnerable. That's when it can break. That's when you can damage it because it is weak and it has to be handled gently. But what they're saying is that they have the heat solution. And this product has something in it called phytantriol. And if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, then please let me know how you pronounce it.
They probably made that up anyway.
Actually, I looked it up, and it really is a real.
Oh, really?
It's a real nutrient, and apparently it does work. Okay. It does make your hair stronger, so it is an additive. I don't think Pantene is the only company that does it, but it is another way to protect your hair. So they're saying we're not against hair dryers, we're just against dried out hair. So apparently when you add this product in, it does protect your hair from the dangers or from the damage that hair dryers can do. But I just like it because, again, the headline really catches your attention. Finally, a more effective way to damage your hair. And that really catches your attention. But there's only one thing about this ad that I don't like. Do you know what that is?
The reverse print.
Exactly. So we've talked about this in the past. For those of you who are not familiar with what reverse is, it's when you have white writing on a black background. And it's very difficult for the human eye to read more than a couple sentences at a time. Unfortunately, with this ad, I think a lot of it gets lost because there's so much writing in white. Now that is opposed to the black writing on a white background. It just makes it very difficult to read. But what you can read, I love the ad itself, and it makes you think. And it really catches your attention. It makes you want to read the rest of the ad, as difficult as it may be.
So Pantene is the same company that several years later came up with Don't Hate Me Because I'm Beautiful.
I won't.
You remember those ads, right?
Yes, of course.
And it's got to the point that people of our generation, and I'm not going to give away our ages, but you can figure that one out on your own, folks. You hear Don't Hate Me Because I'm Beautiful, and you automatically think Pantene. And that really is the sign of a great ad.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very catchy.
Yes.
Some really, really great slogans.
Yeah.
So
I think that just about wraps up this episode of Uncovered.
If people want to find out more information, Steph, about how to get these great magazines or some of these wonderful vintage ads that we also talked about, how
you
can they
can
find
find these magazines in my Etsy or eBay stores. My store name is Great Mags. That's GR8 MAGZ or Z if you're in the US.
And what about if they're in Mexico? Okay, just kidding.
Sorry, guys, I don't speak Spanish.
I was going to go into Sweden next because we have some listeners from Sweden.
Yes, we do.
We do actually have some.
All over the world.
Sweden, we get a lot from Ireland. We get a lot from Bavaria, Germany, which is very interesting.
Can you imagine? So the response has been phenomenal. So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
You can find us also on Instagram under Great Mags, GR8 MAGZ, or uncovered_VFMR.
And we're also on Twitter. And you could find us there at Uncovered VFMR.
And as always, you can reach us at uncoveredpodcast@yahoo.com.
And we have a new Facebook page, which is Uncovered Vintage Fashion Magazine Review. So please look for us there, where we post episodes and little snippets and highlights. So thanks for listening, and we look forward to the next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Uncovered Vintage Fashion Magazine Review Podcast.
Uncovered was produced by Morley Schulman, with music by David Renda and logo design by Alan Lipman.
So remember, if you liked Uncovered, be sure to tell 2 friends about it.
And they'll tell 2 friends.
And so on, and so on, and so on.